Hey guys, what's going on? I am in front of my paint booth right now. I'm just wrapping up videoing this guy. It's a portable paint booth. But anyways, that's not what you guys came here for. You guys that came to learn about the T5 swap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I did it because it is working and functioning. Before I took the truck apart, I was driving down the road. So my version works, but there are a few different ways of doing it. So let's get to it. I'm not going to do a huge intro here because I know you guys want to know how to do a T5 swap, so let's get it done. All right, so in today's video, here is the transmission. So I'm going to show you that. I also have the bell housing and flywheel and clutch components that I'm going to show you. And here is the 235, so we always have that we can look at as well. All right, guys, so first thing first, you're going to want to look for your T5 transmission. I'm going to give you a couple of pointers what to look for. We'll get to that adapter plate here in a second. I'm going to give you a couple of pointers on what to look for, and then I'm going to tell you the direction that I went, which is definitely not the easiest direction by any means. But I'm going to show you what I did, and I'm going to try to explain to you most of the options that I know about. If any of you guys watching this know of additional options, please put them in the comments. Please be respectful. This video is to help everybody, not make you a keyboard warrior, okay, or make your balls bigger or whatever you do. So let's try to help each other. And here we go. So this particular T5 is from a 1990-ish S10. It's got a couple of features that are going to be different than what some others prefer to do. So the perfect T5 is to have one that has a mechanical speedometer. Those are going to be 80s T5s, like early 80s T5s, okay? And what that does is it allows you to connect your speedometer cable under your dash all the way around to this guy without having to need any adapters or anything like that, okay? And the reason why mine is not like that, as you can see, is mine has an electronic speedometer. So that's not the end of the world, and I will explain to you why that is. But before we get to that, let's get to this part. So as you're IDing your transmission, the important part is to know which numbers to look for, okay? The numbers on the side of the transmission, like this right here, is not the ones you care about. Do not look at this and think you know what you're looking for. I'll throw a link down below to a graph to where you can use the graph to kind of figure out stuff about your transmission, what year it's from, those kinds of things. But I will tell you that one of the most important things you want to look at on these is the gear ratios, okay? So on this particular transmission, I know that it has the 0.72 overdrive, which is hugely important because the first transmission I bought had a 0.9 overdrive. It was almost worthless to even shift into fifth, okay? And let's be honest, one of the main reasons why you're even doing this swap is probably for that overdrive gear. Otherwise, why wouldn't you just keep the original 3-speed? The overdrive here is what kind of makes it able to go to freeway speeds, which is why I imagine 90% of us are even doing this swap. So anyways, you definitely want to make sure that the transmission has the 0.72, otherwise it is not even worth it. I think some T5s even have a lower overdrive, but I don't know that for sure, so I'm not going to say that. However, I am confident that most have the 0.72. And if you have the right number, which I'll show you right now, this guy right here is the one you want to use. So unless a previous owner lost it, there should be a metal tag like this that has a number, okay? And the one you want to look for is a number like this. So this one is 1352-834. So looking that up, I could see that this transmission had the 0.72 and that it was going to work out for me. So once again, do not use any numbers except for this tag. You definitely want to look for that. Now on this end of the transmission, you're going to notice that the shaft right here, the input shaft, is going to have a lot more splines than what your original one did. So here's an original one right here. This is a 10 spline, okay? So this is what came into your truck. So if you're planning on throwing this T5 behind the original clutch, not the clutch, the original flywheel, and clutch disc and all that, it's not going to work, okay? So this is a finer spline. So most T5s are 14 spline, which is what this one is. Now the way to get around that, and I'll put a link below also to like RockAuto, so I can't promise that it's going to be live forever if you're watching this video like a year after I put it out, but basically what you're looking for is a 14 spline. Definitely confirm that with your T5, but this one's a 14 spline, so that's what I'm looking for. So if you go on RockAuto, the very first year Chevy Astro, they offered a T5 transmission in it, right? And this is 1985. So when you go to RockAuto or wherever, filter on 1985 and look for a clutch disc, okay? Because if you look for the clutch disc, it's going to have the 14 spline and 11 inch. Okay, the 11 inch is what you want. 10 and a half, 11 inch is what you want, okay? There's another major difference, these input shafts, which is crucial to making this successful, okay? So if you notice, the input shafts here, the little end part is longer on the fine spline. If you notice, the original is shorter. That's a problem because this guy will go into the back of the engine and it won't work. Now, that being said, there's a couple of things you can do like this, okay, about this. So if you got a early T5, then you need to cut about a half an inch to an inch off of this end here, and you're fine. That's it. Because if you look, the input size is pretty much the same, okay? You see how they're both the same size, just the lengths are different. So if you cut off a little bit of this, you're good. Just remember, if you do cut it off by like a machine shop or something, make sure to taper this in so it goes in a lot easier. All right, back to what I was saying. Had a visitor stop by. Sorry about that. So the input shaft right here, you can either cut this off and taper it if it bolts directly to the back of your Chevy, which it should if it is a very early T5. Otherwise, if you have a newer version like this, there is a beautiful adapter plate that you can buy online. I'll put a link to below. I think the original one was Hotwire Works. I'm not sure who does it now, but I'll put a link down below. So what happens is when you bolt this guy to the front of the transmission, it is a adapter plate that allows you to bolt up your T5 to the same bolt pattern as your Chevy truck. So makes it really easy. The other thing is that if you notice, this is about that half to 3/4 inch width that you would normally have to cut off the end here, and you don't have to do that if you get the adapter plate, because it makes up that part that you would normally have to cut off. Now, if you really want to, you can take these 4 bolts off here, off of the front of the T5, and you can put a aftermarket one like this, which has a shorter snout. I got this off of eBay. There's a guy on eBay that does this. I'll see if it's still active and put a link below. I don't think it is, but I'll look. That's why the snout and stuff is the same length. And so this already has the old 10 spline, which allows you to use the same clutch disc and all that kind of stuff. These are not that bad to change out. Undo the 4 bolts. Make sure and don't lose these spacers that are behind there, because all the play and stuff is set by those. But you see how this has a flat spot? I'm not going to get into how you do this, but I will tell you that you put the flat spot and the right spot on the bottom, and these are not that hard to change out if you want to go back to that 10 spline. However, I'm going to show you that that is not necessary, and I've already told you that it's not necessary. You can go in, find that 85 Chevy Astro input shaft, and you can retain this, and it's not that big of a deal. Now, something else that should be blatantly obvious to you, but maybe some people are, not thinking about it, which you should. And that is, if you do this, obviously you're going to have to cut a hole in the floor, which should be fairly obvious to you. Let me get the camera going here. So I cut my own hole. It's not that difficult. It's down there. But if you see, I also got a aftermarket chrome shifter. I know it's kind of hard to see. Sorry about that. But that shifter is like made by Hurst. You can see it's got the black knob on it. And it kind of bolts up directly to the T5. I'll put a part number for it below. But it basically makes the shifter work with the seat, because if you try to use the original T5 shifter, you have to bend it, which it can break. And don't ask me how I know that, but it can break and be really dangerous to do. So I recommend just getting this aftermarket shifter. I would like to find a black one because the chrome kind of stands out in a truck that doesn't have a lot of chrome. But anyways, that's really a choice and preference. I'm just warning you that the chrome will stand out and not look right. But anyways, let's move on and talk about the bell housing. Okay, so here's the original bell housing that came out of the truck. As you can see, the starter's over here. This is the access plate. Anyways, the back side, here's the original 3-speed linkage that you don't use anymore, so take that crap off. Now, as you can see on the bottom here, this adapter plate fits just like this. Actually, backwards. Goes just like this. And those bottom bolts suck it up and allows your transmission to fit. You can use the original flywheel. Of course, you're going to want to for balancing and all those things. You don't have to change anything about the bell housing. The starter will work, the original starter. It'll work with 12 volt, 6 volt. It doesn't really care. Now, I want to show you something that I did. I will be upgrading to the Astro clutch, but this is the S10 clutch disc that came with it. I've been using this up until now. I mean, look, guys, the 4-cylinder Chevy S10 truck has more horsepower than your original 235. Okay, I think brand new from the factory, they were claiming that the 235 was making 100 horsepower. I question that, especially now, so many years later. But if you look, this is the 14 spline, which fits perfectly, and this is perfectly adequate. Now, I will tell you, you can see kind of the marking here. It doesn't cover the whole face, but as you can see, it covers enough. So plenty enough if you're really on a budget, so you can just use the S10 clutch disc. Now, I will say you should probably get the Astro one. It'll work a lot better for you. But I will tell you that it will work. This is my 54. So this is like a reproduction original pressure thing. So you can reuse this. So this is for the 50s. This is for the Chevy Astro or S10 clutch disc. Okay. So really the only thing you have to change in the whole setup is basically the clutch disc. So if you do how I did it, the only thing I changed was adding this adapter plate, but I kept the original pressure plate, flywheel, bell housing, all of that. None of that has to change. So basically all you need is the transmission over there. You need to get a new clutch disc and this adapter plate, and your transmission is in your truck. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about rear ends. There's so many options out there. If you watched my previous video, I have a Chevy Colorado rear end. Reason why I did that, just to refresh your memories, is because it allows me, the Chevy Colorado had a 6-bolt wheel. So it allows me to retain the original wheels. Obviously, I have reproduction tires. Those are the Coker. They look like the original tires, but they're actually bias ply, which is a new version. And then to mate the transmission to the new rear end and vice versa, you'll get a drive shaft made. So I had a drive shaft made at a local drive shaft shop. Basically, you'll give them the model of T5 that you're using, and you'll confirm the shaft back here, how many teeth it has. But they should know that already if they just look it up. And then you'll tell them about the rear end that you have, and you'll want to get a measurement from the rear end to this face right here. and that's all they should need to get you that length, okay? That the right drive shaft length. So, and remember that the weight has to be on the ground on your truck to get the proper length. You cannot have it in the air. So you need to have the transmission in the truck, rear end in the truck, weight of the truck on it to get the proper length between the rear end and the face of the transmission. And basically you're looking for the face of the U-bolts back here, the yoke. You're looking for the face of the yoke to the face of the transmission, and that's going to be your drive shaft length. Now I have heard of some guys using drive shafts out of late 50s cars and other things. I've even heard of somebody using it out of an Astro. But honestly, guys, the easiest thing to do is just take that measurement and get a drive shaft made. For me, it was like, I don't know, $400 or $500, I think, to get one made. Maybe a little bit more than that, but not much more than that. That's just the easiest way to go. One other thing I'll mention, this is the original clutch linkage from your clutch pedal in your truck. You can use that because you're going to be using the original bell housing and all that. You can use the original throwout bearing. You can use, since it has the same shaft, basically the girth, you can use the same shifter and everything, so you don't need to change any of this. You put this on the ball of your bell housing. The Y part will hook up to your throwout bearing, and then this linkage hooks up to your truck like it used to. So no need to change this out. If you do this swap, you can pretty much leave this in just how it was. All right, last thing I want to show you guys. So remember, I have a newer T5, like a 90 to 93, that has the electrical speedo. Why I don't care about that, and actually I kind of might prefer it, is because I got this box. I can't remember if it's from Summit or Jex, but I'll put a link below, that converts mechanical speedo line that goes to your speedometer to electrical on the transmission side. So you have all these wires you hook up. There's really not that many. You have these two wires right here that you hook up to those two electrical ports on the transmission on that electrical speedo output. And basically it reads the pulses, because that's how electrical transmission works. It sends out pulses. It reads those pulses and determines the speed. The reason why I prefer this method is because it doesn't matter what gears you have in the rear end. It doesn't matter what gears you have in the transmission. You calibrate this for any of those different features. And so I can calibrate the speedometer readings electronically and not really care about what gear is in anywhere. Okay, and it's all through an app on your phone. So basically, you drive a mile down the road with their app and you calibrate the speedometer. I did use my phone GPS to kind of zero it in, and now it's super accurate with just some electronic magic. Now, as you can see, the wiring under here is a mess. I'm in the middle of my restoration, and I will fix all that during the restoration. But this is the method I chose. Otherwise, if you want to convert your electric transmission to mechanical, it's pretty expensive, and you really got to know what you're doing. So if you don't want to go this route, you just want to do the mechanical route, I suggest you wait and be patient and try to find a T5 that has the mechanical speedometer option. I did almost forget to mention Crossmember. So if you're wanting to put a Crossmember behind your T5 or under your T5, they do make aftermarket ones. If you have a welder and a torch or maybe a cutoff wheel and stuff like that, you can very easily make your own. I'll try to find one and put a link below. But some guys, I would say it's about 50-50. Some guys say you don't need a Crossmember just because the weight isn't there. Some guys say to put one, absolutely put one. I'll let you decide, but that is something else to think about, is putting a Crossmember under your T5. And like I said, I'll try to put a link below. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful to you. Like I said, most of that is the way that I did it. I tried to give you options about how other people have done it. A good source of information is either the HAMB, H-A-M-B, or Stovebolt. There's like 3 write-ups on Stovebolt that gives you different options. Like I said, I just showed you the way I did it. It works. Goes down the road perfectly. Love it. It rides smooth. Gets me up at freeway speeds. Now, granted, this old 235 is a little tired, so it works it a little bit. but it works good. So remember, don't eat each other up. If you did a different way, put that in the comments. So that way we can all learn together. And I hope this was really helpful for you. I tried to give you as much information as possible. I'm sure I forgot something, hopefully not, but I hope this gets you down the road and get you started on your DIY Chevy restoration. So like I said, hope this was helpful. Remember to help me out. It takes a lot of work to do these videos. So if you could throw me a like and subscribe to my channel, that really helps me out for views and hopefully one day getting paid by YouTube. So like I said, it takes a lot of work, a lot of money to do this. I would really appreciate it. See you guys in the next one, guys. Bye.